All right. So welcome, everyone. You're in for a real treat. This is our very first session of 7 total sessions for our Spring into Innovation EdTech training series. You're here for some Lumio today. This is Spring into Reading with Lumio, engaging activities for every reader. And I'm really excited to see our secondary folks here. I know elementary folks were always jumping on all these opportunities for training, but it's really nice to see middle and high school people here too. So if you've never used Lumio before, I think you're going to be really excited to see this session. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right. Whoop, don't want to do that again. All right, so I'm going to post in the chat a link to our Title IV form. I need you to take a minute to get this completed. This is how you're going to get your stipend. I'm pinning it here in the chat, so anyone who joins later should be able to scroll back up and see that, but I will post it again before our session's over. So a few quick reminders. I had to admit several of you. I will tell you that makes it really difficult when I'm doing attendance because sometimes it's not you who logged in. You logged in on somebody else's account. So usually I'm able to figure it out, but it's really important that when you're joining these paid Title IV sessions that you're able to join from your district email. And for this form, you do need to be on your district email. So if you are not logging in from your district email, you have to make sure that you're doing that because that's how the form is set. Don't worry if you forget and I see your name on the attendance, I will send you a request to, you all need access. That shouldn't be the case. That should not be the case. Everyone needs access. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Hold on. I don't know why that is. It should not be that way. It should be everyone. Hold on. Oops, hold on. Try again. I just saved it. I've not experienced that before. I'm really sorry about that. I'm going to have to check the other form. Okay, so try the form again. If you're already on it, refresh your page. My apologies, but thank you for letting me know. I do have it set where you have to be on your district email account. So I appreciate you letting me know that it wasn't working. All right, without further ado, let's move along. So a couple of reminders for today's session. We have a lot of people here. There were over 160 registered for today's session, 129 here right now. So please, please, please use the chat. If we have any time at the end, we can come off mute and ask some questions. But please put any of your questions in the chat and we'll try to keep up with you the best that we can. And then we welcome you to participate and engage. This is going to be an interactive session. Our presenter is going to be dropping a link in and she's going to get you into Lumio and you're going to be able to follow along with her. Your presenter for today is Michelle Grinberg. She's joining us here from Lumio. She's a professional development specialist. If you joined us in December, she presented to us then as well. We're so happy to have her. And I think you're in for a real treat with today's session. So, oops, without further ado, I'm going to stop presenting and I'm going to turn it over to Michelle. And again, if you had trouble with the link to the Title IV form, refresh your page. I'll post it in the chat again. You shouldn't have an issue filling it out at this point.
Perfect. Well, hi, everyone. If I saw you in December, so nice to be working with you again. If this is our first time meeting, hello there. My name is Michelle, or if you see me on any of our Lumio or Smart Things, I do go by Mish at work because there's quite a few Michelles at Lumio. So if you ever see anything with Mish, that's me. I am the professional development specialist working with West Coast and Canada. And prior to being here at Lumio, I was a kindergarten and first grade teacher for Chicago Public Schools. So I'm really excited to be with you today for Spring into Reading with Lumio, engaging activities for every reader. We're really going to focus in a little bit on comprehension today. And so before we really get started, if this is your first time with Lumio, I'm actually going to have you guys log in as students. I've got instructions on my screen, but I'm also dropping a link in the chat of Google Meet for you to join in directly. So what's going to happen, again, if this is your first time with Lumio or it's your first time attending one of my sessions, I always love for you to come in as a student first to really get to experience what Lumio is like from the student side. And then we'll spend just a little bit of time experiencing that student side. I'll show you a few things that I can do as a teacher. And then we're going to pop into being on the teacher side yourselves, just to see how easy it is to create some of these activities in Lumio. So I'm going to pause for about a minute here and let everyone get signed in. I've got instructions on the screen, or there's a direct link that's also in the Google chat. All right, I'm going to wait maybe a little bit more than 1 minute, maybe like a minute and a half, just because there are 136 of you in the Google call. Looks like I've got 32 of you logged into Lumio so far. And I want to make sure everyone has a chance to log in. Now, if it does take you an extra second, if internet is slow or anything like that, even if I do move forward before you're ready, you still can join in. No worries for those of us that maybe computers is a little slow or internet. Even if I move forward, you'll still have the opportunity to join in. All right, I'm going to wait about 10 more seconds and then we're going to move forward. And yes, there are so many of us here in the call. Let's try our best to use the chat. I've got some great moderators for me here. And if it's a great question, I will always pause and answer it as a whole group, or we can hold them to the end if it's a question I think will benefit everyone hearing. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move forward. I'm dropping my link one more time for everyone in the chat. So even if, like I said, you're not signed in yet, no worries, you'll still have the opportunity to do so. All right, so I'm going to move forward here. And really quick, what I'm going to do, and this is not an activity for you yet, I'm going to convert it in just a moment. I'm curious where everyone is with using Lumio. So some of you came to my session in December. Maybe you've attended another Lumio session. Maybe you've explored on your own, or perhaps this is your very first time. We are all going, I'm just curious where everyone is. So in a moment, I'm going to convert this into an activity. When I do, my cars in the bottom right corner here are infinitely cloned. So you'll be able to drag and drop and move them. So right now, as a teacher, I'm going to come over to my people tool. I'm going to turn this into a whole class whiteboard. So now if you're signed into my Lumio class, you should be able to navigate this page on your screen. So go ahead to Lumio if you're logged in. My little car is in the bottom right corner. Awesome. Looks like lots of cars are moving around. This is great. So I'm going to give everyone a second to interact, drag and drop a car. And it is okay if you are unfamiliar. All right. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and toggle off editing. I'm giving you a warning. In 3, 2, 1, I'm going to turn off editing. So now you'll see that on your screen, you can look, but you can't touch anymore. And so I'm going to capture your attention back up here as the teacher. If this is your first time with Lumio, a couple of things that I can do here. And what I'm going to try to do throughout our call, because I know not all of us have 2 monitors. So if you're functioning with just one computer screen today, I'm going to try my best to say, hey, you know, come to the Google call really quick or go back to your Lumio screen. I'll try my best to vocalize when I need you to look at something different, just in case you are functioning with one screen. So right now, if you could come back to the Google call, and I'll show you a couple things that I can do here as a teacher. So I can click on any of these cars here, and I can see who they belong to. So it looks like I clicked here. That belongs to Rebecca. So if I was doing this with my students and I wanted to check in, maybe I had a student that I needed to sit down with for a moment, I'd be able to do that here. And then also a few minutes ago, you noticed I said, hey guys, I'm going to take that editing access away from you for a second. So if I needed to capture my student's attention, that is in the top right corner of my screen here. I toggled off everyone can edit. So all you can do now is just look and pay attention. And now we're going to move forward. All right, so for those of us that have been using Lumio, hang tight with me for just a moment. I'm going to do a quick little overview of what Lumio is for those of us that might be new. No worries, Patricia. Here is my student join link, so you can come in as a student. There we go. It's right in the chat for you. So what is Lumio for those of us that maybe this is our first time really talking about it? Here's how I really like to explain it. Think about a teaching day or a teaching week. All right. And then think about all of the different websites that you might use in a day. So think things like iExcel, iReady, YouTube, Google Slides, maybe PowerPoint. Am I naming a few things that you might use? Kahoot. Have I named a few websites? All right. So now what I want you to think about is as you're using all those websites in front of your students, you're up at the front of your classroom, no matter what you have, if you've got a projector, a laptop, a smartboard, anything that you might have, that's a lot of tabs like this for you to navigate, right? Up at your screen. But that's also a lot for your students as well to help them get to Google Slides and then to help them get to YouTube or iExcel. So the goal of Lumio is all these different activities that we might do can live together in one lesson file. So I can start with content that I already have, like Google Slides or a PDF. I can turn any page into a workspace like you just saw with those cars. I turned that page into a workspace where we were all able to collaborate together. I can embed YouTube videos. They come in ad-free. We've got different game templates, handouts, manipulatives, graphic organizers, quiz functions, so many different things. We're going to explore just one small percentage of all the different things that you can do in Lumio today, just because right now we're going to focus more so on reading and specifically even more from reading comprehension. So we're going to dive into a couple different things. So what is the goal for our session here today? What are we going to learn? So really three different things here is we're going to explore some interactive strategies. So we're really going to look at how Lumio's features support reading comprehension, different ways that you can really support your literacy instruction with our interactive features. We're going to also take a look at how you can enhance your student engagement. So there's different abilities within Lumio to really make activities collaborative. And also we have different gamified elements that make learning just so much more fun for our students, allow us as teachers to capture data, but for our students to really participate in a low stakes environment. And then last but not least, like I said, right now, you guys are logged in as my students. And in a few moments, we're going to come in as teachers. You'll get to really see how simple it is to create some of these Lumio activities to then do with your students. Right now, you'll also notice just a little call out about Lumio is as I turn through each page, the pages on your screen are turning as well because I have you locked in with me. Right now, I have my lesson set to teacher mode, which means, again, you're locked in with me. But if I wanted you to do some independent practice, if I click on my little people tool in my top left corner, so again, if you're functioning on one screen today, come back over to Google really quick. So here I am with my teacher mode. If I click on my two little people here in the top left corner, I do have the option to also put it in student mode. And that would give you ability to navigate through the pages on your own. But for right now, I'm guiding you through my lesson, so I'm going to keep it in teacher mode. All right, so we talk a lot about reading. We talk a lot about comprehension with our colleagues, our students, but what role does technology play in it? And before I really dive into this, I want to have a little personal anecdote from a couple teachers that I spoke with a few weeks ago. I was traveling for a training, and I had a really interesting conversation. It's almost testing season, right? We're getting our students ready for testing if you're in the upper grades. And an interesting point that one of the teachers made to me, we were talking a little bit about what role does technology play in reading. And she brought up something really interesting. She said to me, I'm getting my students ready for our standardized testing in the spring. And a lot of that testing has moved towards being on the computer. You know, back in the day, we had our little testing booklets and we bubbled in our answer. It was all paper and pencil, right? But now a lot of that is digitized. And she was observing her students doing some practice tests, and she realized that her students actually were not reading quite as quickly on a computer. It wasn't something that they were used to. And so she found that she needed to spend a little bit more time giving them digital activities so they really could get used to test taking and reading on a computer. And then I thought about myself. I love to read, and I'm a sucker for a real book. I like to hold a paperback book in my hands. But with all the travel I do with this job, I've really become a Kindle reader. There was some hesitation there, but it's just more comfortable. But then I realized a few weeks ago, I picked up a paperback book and I was reading so slowly. I've now become the opposite, and I read so much quicker on a Kindle. And our students, as we get them ready to kind of transition to taking a lot of these testing in the spring and it being more digitized, we've got to get them a little bit more comfortable. But that's not really the only reason we want to use tech when we're talking about reading. There's so many great tools, and we're specifically going to talk about what role does now Lumio play in that. So first and foremost, I'm doing a lot of talking, and I promise that I have examples we're going to walk through in just a few minutes. But first and foremost, we have a lot of interactive activities with drag and drop and sorting and a lot of customizing that you can do as a teacher. And as we think about all of our students being different, it's important that we really give them multimedia tools or give them a multimodal approach to their learning to give us an authentic understanding of where they're at with their learning. So there's different ways to support our students with embedded audio and visuals and videos and so many different things we can do to support our diverse learning styles. A little bit on the prior page, we did talk about opportunities for collaborative learning with whole class whiteboards and group workspaces. We're not going to dive too much into group workspaces today because there are so many of us in this call. And then also just be able to give our students real-time feedback and make those teaching decisions in the moment to guide those steps to help our students. So with that being said, we're going to dive through some different examples. Now, earlier I mentioned I was a kindergarten and first grade teacher, and I taught in a K-8 school. So very often I would go to a professional development session like this one, and they would show me really cool things. And then I'd say, I'm just having a hard time visualizing how I can do this with my kindergarten students. So what I've done for you all today is I've kind of prepared different examples, starting from a pre-K example through a middle school example. So I tried to give you all different varieties. So give me some moments here and we'll get in. All right. So my first example here is for the book Brown Bear, which is pretty common in preschool. And as a teacher here, I can model my activities. So perhaps I just I finished reading that book with my students, and I'm introducing my students to learning about the sequence of events. So a little comprehension activity we can do with some pre-K students. I want for them to recall which of these animals we met first. So first, I know that we met little brown bear, and I think last we met the little frog. And so this is a fun little activity for our students to do. All I did, and again, we'll show you how I created these activities. I brought in some pictures and my students are sorting them. To support those preschool students, you'll also notice in the top right corner, I have instructional audio. So on your screen, if you do click that play button, you will hear me. I personally recorded myself there, giving some instructions to my students if they were working on this independently. I'm going to give you all a second to interact with that page, just a quick second, because it's a preschool game. It's pretty simple. And if you're functioning with just one monitor today, come on back to the Google Meet real quick, and I'll show you a few things that I can do as a teacher. If you're functioning with just one screen, come back to Google. So on my screen here, you'll notice that I am able to demonstrate that activity, but now I can also, on the top of my screen, go to view progress. A moment ago, I talked about the benefit of real-time feedback with my students. So I'm able to see that 5 of you are done, 35 of you are in progress. I can also show some general results. I can see the 5 most frequent correct and incorrect answers. And now here's my favorite part. Looks like some of you are still working. Go ahead and stop for a moment if you're still playing with my game. I love that you're interacting, but come on back to my Google call really quick because I'm going to show you some things you can do as a teacher. I'm going to click on student progress here. And it's always going to warn me, hey, you're about to show student names and scores. But this is really cool because there's such feedback as a gift. So I'm going to take a look here, and I can see that some of you are working. And Anne-Marie, I'm just going to click on yours if that's okay. Just because you're my first name that popped up here. Oh, you're also the first on my Google Meet screen. So funny. My computer's really picking on you today, Anne-Marie. All right, so I can click on yours. And it might freeze on me just because there are 92 of us that are in this call. This is usually pretty quick. Let me see if I can click on someone else. Maybe I won't pick on Anne-Marie. Well, that's okay. I'll tell you what happens anyways. It is a little slow because there are 92 of us logged in, which I hope you don't have 92 students in your classroom. That would be crazy. I'm coming from Chicago Public Schools, so I do have a stamina for lots of students. Oh, here we go. All right, it loaded. So from here, I can see exactly how this person's doing. Anne-Marie, I guess it didn't end up picking on you, so you're off the hook for this one. But I can see how this student did. Now, there's such a power in repetition, especially with our younger students learning a new concept, right? So you'll notice on my screen, it says student's response on first attempt. On your screen, when you're done, you actually get to reset the activity and keep trying. But for me, I get that data. I'm also able to see how much time you spend compared to the class average, your score compared to the class average, and really get some good feedback here for myself as the teacher to guide my next teaching steps. One other thing that I can do is I have this button right here that says export results at the top right of my screen, and that'll generate an Excel sheet for me. If you were at our session in December, by the way, that feature wasn't there yet. That's brand new. So just FYI, it came out just a few weeks ago, but I can export it, turns into an Excel sheet for me, all of my student names, their scores, and the questions itemized. Now, that was a preschool example, but that template is just a gray screen that I'll show you when we log in as teachers. But for my upper grades, you could type in sentences, sequence of events that happen in your novel study too. So I picked a very simple board book, but this could come up all the way to our upper grades. If you're not an ELA teacher, you could do this with math, sorting equations from least to greatest, history, sorting historical events, lots of different ways to use that rank order game. All right. I was a kindergarten teacher. This happened to be one of my favorite read alouds that I did every year. I read the book, Those Shoes. So now I'm working with my students. This is now a sorting game. We just finished reading the book, Those Shoes, and the overarching theme in that book was really talking about want versus need. So all I did, again, just a template here. Now my students are sorting what's a need and what's a want. So working with my students here, same concept as the page before, they're able to interact. I also recorded myself giving some audio here in case they are working on this independently and need that support. So I'll give you all a second to interact with that. As you're interacting, I'll just drop a few other ideas here. So if you are maybe not a kindergarten first grade teacher, it doesn't have to be quite this simple. You can do, again, maybe events that happen. So you can do true or false. You can sort different themes. If you're doing a novel study, you can sort quotes into what kind of theme bucket they fall into. If you're a math teacher, again, sorting math equations. My science teachers, Chris, we are going to walk into exactly how to create these. Stay tuned for maybe 10 more minutes, and I'm going to show you how you can customize your own like this. It's a pre-made template, and you just put in your content into it. All right, if you're functioning on one screen, come on back to Google really quick. If you're functioning on one screen, come back to the Google Meet. Same concept. I was able to demonstrate the activity, but I also still get that same view progress screen. So I still have that dashboard. I'm still able to see how all of my students are doing. Just for the sake of time, I'm not going to click into any of those, but it'll replicate what you saw on the previous game as well. All right, moving forward here, this is now an individual handout. So you each have your own copy of this worksheet. If you haven't read Jabari Jumps, another one of my favorite read alouds with my students. This one we used a lot for talking about character feeling development, how their feelings change throughout a story. So what I'm going to have you all do is, I know we want to try and play with it. Come on back to Google Meets really quick. I'm going to give you a second to interact with the page in just a moment, but I'd like to show you first. On your screen here, you should have all these little buttons on a toolbar. Don't look yet, just stay with me for a moment. If you don't see these buttons, you'll have 3 dots. You can click on those and then interact. And there's a few things that you can do. You can write. You can come in and you can grab stickers. You also, especially for our primary students, there is a microphone. So students can record their response, which is actually precisely what I asked in my directions, record audio explaining how Jabari felt. So I might say, at the end of the book, Jabari felt proud because despite being nervous, he was able to jump off the diving board. And for my students that can't yet type, they can contribute this way as well. So I'm going to have you all take a moment, go ahead to your Lumio screen and interact with this page. You can also click on the A to type. Go ahead and interact with that page. I'm going to give you like 2 minutes. Go ahead and interact. And then I promise, I know I'm showing you some primary examples here. I promise some more options are coming your way for my upper students, my upper teachers. Some questions in the chat, pre-made activities. So there are pre-made templates that you can customize, but we also do have a library full of pre-made content completely. Britt's asking, you had your students do a short answer. That might be the case. We'll have to take a look at it, but there is other ways you can ask them a question where they're not limited to 25 characters. So there's a few different ways you can ask different types of questions. Samantha, awesome, my fellow kindergarten teacher. Literacy was my favorite. Awesome. All right. So I gave you guys a second to interact. Stay in your Lumio screen for me for just a second. You'll notice in the top right of your screen. One moment. It's I'm trying to get in. I'm trying to sign as a guest in your account. Is this correct? Yes, Britt. Here is that's my direct join link. So you should be able to just click on that, type in your name, and you'll be able to join my lesson as a student. Oh, sorry, that was for Christina. Britt asked. Gotcha, Britt. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Okay, so if you're still on your Lumio screen, top right of your screen, you have a button that says done. One way that I like to use the done button, other than just saying, hey, Miss Grinberg, I'm done, is I'll tell my students to click on that if they're feeling brave today, and I can share their work on the screen. So now if a few of you could click that done button for me and feel brave, and then everyone come back to Google Meets. If you're functioning on one screen today, come on back to Google Meets. I'm going to drop my teacher activity here, and I can see all my students that are logged in. You'll see here, remember I told you hit that done button if you're feeling brave. It gives me a little check mark letting me know that you've done that. So I'm going to just randomly pick on someone. Anne-Marie, I'm just going to pick on you because I said I was going to earlier and I didn't have the chance. So I'm going to pick on Anne-Marie here, and I am able to, no worries, I'm able to open up Anne-Marie's work here. What I really like is I'm also able to give Anne-Marie some direct feedback. Why do you think he's nervous? So I can ask a question, or I can say, hey, that was really great, or hey, try again. And just Anne-Marie sees that feedback on Anne-Marie's screen, which is really nice. All this data is saving right in this file for me. And so I'm able to come back to this next week if I need to gather some data on my students. Anne-Marie, of course, is able to type for my students that maybe can't type yet. Could have used a microphone option as well. I love that. So I just opened up Lauren's. Looks like Lauren brought in some of our pre-made stickers to really show how Jabari was feeling. All right. For those of you that are still playing around, I'm going to switch the screen in 3, 2, 1. All right. So I happen to also love the book Wonder. I really just tried to choose some of my favorite books for this session today. I'm trying to be an influencer with my favorite read alouds. So now with my upper students, we read the book Wonder, maybe in 5th grade. And again, I can model this activity. Going back to gamified learning, I love gamified learning because it makes it fun for our students. For me as the teacher, it gives me instant feedback, gives them instant feedback, and also gives them a low stakes environment to provide me that data that I might need. So here I have my students. They can click on the little blue box here. They can read the quote from the story. And then I'm wanting them to match a quote to the theme that it goes with. Again, just in case my students might need it, able to, I recorded myself here as well. So same as those other games, you can just drag those together like so, and then make your matches. So I'll give you a second to interact. And we're gonna go into teacher mode in just another, I would say 3 more minutes. All right, if you're interacting, let's do 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm moving forward. My goal right now is just showing you some different examples, and then we're going to get into creating, and you can create something that is applicable to something that you are currently teaching. All right, so for those of you that attended, we have Lumio webinars that happen 4 to 5 times a month. We had an awesome webinar about a month ago at this point, I think to the day, on the science of reading with vocabulary. And it was from a school district in, I believe they were in Michigan, Chippewa Valley. And they created some really cool activities to work on vocabulary using phones and social media templates to make learning so much more applicable and kind of relatable to what our students are doing, which is on their phones, right? So I wanted to create, I heard we had, yes, woo, we love the template. All right. So, so now I have this as an individual handout for my students, some instructions for them. I didn't pick a specific book for this one because elementary school teacher, I don't know what books you guys read in middle school. I remember reading Crispin and the Odyssey, and I don't know that I could say anything about those books at this point. So I kept it general. But here you can really customize this to be your own. But I have my students using this phone template to create a text conversation between 2 characters or you and a character. And I left this template pretty general, but I could say it highlights a key theme or character development or important moment or like the conflict in a book. And so, Kathy, great question. Can you remind me one more time at the end of our call, and I'll drop the link for you in the chat? Remind me, Kathy. I'm going to make that your job. Thank you. Because I will forget. All right. Awesome. So, and then I'm going to have my students write a conversation, keep it realistic and engaging. And then also a little bonus tip. Now, I made this a bonus tip, but also this could be an accessibility tip. We send voice notes to each other sometimes, right? Maybe it's for my students that want a little fun challenge of like using different voices, or accessibility for my students that can't fully type a conversation. Maybe they're more comfortable being auditory here. They could record themselves as well. So I'm going to give everyone a second here to interact. You can grab a text box and you can type. I'm doing that on my screen if you'd like to take a look. I click on the A, I click on the screen, and I start typing. You can change the font size. If you want to go the voice note direction, that's in this gallery button, clicking on the microphone. And then recording some audio. So maybe here's me talking about the conflict in the story. Absolutely, you can. And then I can drop that over here as well. And my little emojis on the side are all infinitely cloned, making it just really easy for my students to not have to navigate over to the toolbar. They can just bring these over like so. All right, giving you another 10 seconds to interact. I'm going to drop my teacher activity in just a moment. All right, if you're interacting, I'm going to just drop it here, come back over to Google Meet. All right, and if I can share yours, go ahead and hit that done button, letting me know that I can share yours. If you didn't do much, that's okay. Just giving you an opportunity to really play around. I'm going to click on Christina P. Oh, I love that. I love that you're interacting here. So it looks like, hey, how's it going? Today was a hard day. Brought an emoji. What? And then I failed a test. Oh, no. Christina, Christina, I want to just say thank you for participating. This is awesome. So I'm able to quickly give you feedback. I can say, this is great. And Nazinga, your done button is in the top right corner of your screen. If you are in Lumio right now, it's in the top right corner of your screen. I can't demonstrate that because I'm in teacher mode. But if you're logged into my Lumio as a student, it'll be in the top right corner. All right, for time's sake, I'm going to just show you one more student example, and then we're going to practice as teachers. I love the applause. Woof. All right, cool activities. Here we go. Last one. I had to bring in social media. Noelle, here you go. I did it. I told you I was going to make it happen, and I made it happen. All right. So same as that phone conversation. I left this one really general as well because you can customize it, but comprehension. So I could make this really specific, like, hey, make a post that highlights the conflict in the book, or, that make a post about the main theme in the book. So there's so many ways that you can make this a little bit more targeted. I, of course, left this a little bit more general, but same as the phone conversation for my creative students, this is just really fun for them. They love their phones. So it really makes learning more interesting for them. So write a caption explaining the image's significance using engaging language, quotes, or key details. You can add a creative title, hashtags, emojis. And then also just some fun little challenges like, how can you make it more engaging? It's a social media post. So just a really fun activity for our students to really kind of meet them where they're at. Oh, I love this, Noelle. I used an activity like this with adults yesterday. Remind me, Noelle, also maybe in an email, I did make an icebreaker for adults with Instagram. I had them, it was like a back to school icebreaker where I did like a fill an Instagram feed with what you did over the summer. Yeah. All right. Awesome, everyone. So here's what we're going to do. You are going to go, Noelle, make sure I say this correctly. You're going to go in your portal to come into Lumio as a teacher. So right now, top left corner of your screen, you are going to leave class. My button says end lesson. Yours says leave class. And then you're going to go to your teacher portal and you are going to find that Lumio button and get logged in. So I'm going to pause here for just, I'm going to say maybe 2 minutes. You're going to go to your teacher portal. And now you're going to come into Lumio as a teacher. Yep, search for Lumio in your district portal. I was halfway there. I said teacher portal. It's district portal. I was almost there. While you're searching that up, while you guys are getting logged in, I'm going to do something really quick. Here you go. I'm dropping this for Noelle. This was my Instagram icebreaker. You could use it as like a summer bucket list at the end of the school year or beginning of the school year. What did you do over the summer? And then someone asked me, who asked me for something? I told someone to remind me something at the end.
The science. Kathy wanted the science. Yep.
I'm on it. I'm on it. While you guys are getting logged in, I'm going to do that really quick because thanks, Kathy. I'm going to go to Lumio. Everyone right now going to your district portal. You're searching for Lumio and you're getting logged in as a teacher. And while you're doing that, I am just getting some things loaded. Oh, this is perfect. You guys can't even see my screen, so I'm not confusing anyone with what I'm doing. Perfect. I have it shared only to Lumio. You don't see me searching the web. Perfect. All right. Here we go. Bum, 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 bum. Here we go. Share, copy. And Miss Kathy, here you go. There is the recording to our Science of Reading Vocabulary webinar. That one focused truly on vocabulary. You got it. All right, everyone logged in. Let's take a second. Can you let me know as a teacher or in the Google chat if you are logged in as a teacher? Your screen should look like mine if you are. Of course, I use Lumio all day long, so I've got lots of lessons already created, so you might not have all these things, but does the top half of your Lumio screen look like mine? Perfect. Thank you for letting me know in that Google chat. All right, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and stop there. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. All right, we're going to get started on some creation. So, Noelle, you need about 5 minutes at the end, right? Perfect. All right, so we've got 15 minutes to go.
Two would be okay.
Okay. We've got 15, maybe 17, maybe 18 minutes to go. So here is what we're going to do. I always like to say what we're going to do just so you have an idea. I'm going to show you how to make 2 of the, I think I showed you like 6 activities. I'm going to show you how to make 2 of them because we don't have too much time. And then we're going to end with all of the really cool Lumio resources that we have so that you can keep on exploring because even though our time is short, there's still so many cool things to do. No worries, Elizabeth. If it's easier for you, and I was actually going to make this call out, I always say at this point of our PD session, I want you to choose your own adventure based on the kind of learner that you are. You know yourself better than I do and that Noelle does, right? Like you know how you function. So if you're the kind of person where you want to just sit back and just observe me and just kind of see what I'm doing, please feel free to do so. If you feel like you want to click and click as I click, like watch me click, you click, please feel free to do so as well. And you can do exactly what I'm doing. Or if you want to just kind of watch and kind of go a little rogue, you're welcome to do that as well. So I really want you to choose your own adventure. I don't want to overwhelm you, especially for those of you that maybe are functioning on just one computer screen. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed kind of going back and forth through one screen. But also Noelle is recording this call for us today. So if you feel like you've missed anything, you'll have that recording as well. We also have lots of quick train videos that I'll show you at the end. All right, so here we go. Choose your own adventure. I'm going to try to use my very descriptive language and tell you exactly what I'm clicking. So if you are on your own screen, you can follow along, but also feel free to just sit back and observe if that's your preference. All right, here we go. 15 minutes. There's someone off mute here. I'm just going to go ahead and mute you because we don't have too much time. Please put your questions in the chat. All right, so top left of your screen, it'll say Lumio, and then it'll say your name. And then you are going to click on that new button. Of the 6 different examples I showed you today, I'm just going to show you how to build 2 of them. So I'm going to click on new. And if this is your first time in Lumio, this is the menu of all of the different things that you can bring into your Lumio lesson. Kind of in the middle, all the way to the right, there's a button that says game-based activities. I'm going to just click on game-based activities. And here are 12 of our game-based activities. I'm going to shout this out. And Noelle, if I can ask you to drop this in the chat. 3 of our 12 games give you that dashboard. Remember when I was able to show you that student progress and really export that data? The 3 games that you can do that with are Match 'em Up, Super Sort, and Rank Order. So if you're a note taker, Noelle is dropping that in the chat for us. Thank you in advance, Noelle. All right, the 3 games that give you that dashboard are Super Sort, Rank Order, and Match 'em Up. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and click on Super Sort. And this is really what all of the templates look like. So when we did that want versus need, Super Sort after pretending to read the book, those shoes. So I'm going to go ahead and just build that same game out, but I want you to pick your own adventure here. If you're creating on your own, you can make this your own game. So you can make this, if you're a science teacher, you can make this living versus non-living things, conductors versus insulators. You can make this quotes sorting into different theme buckets, but I'm just going to do want versus need. From here, you can see that you can either do text or image. So I can type that maybe I want cake, or I can find an image. And maybe I need shoes. I need a home to live in. So take a second to just kind of create there for a moment. Noelle, thanks for putting that in the chat. All right. From here, all you need to do is click that next button. There are some pre-made themes here for you. Some of them are interactive. For example, the rock concert, they jam out with you when you get the right answer. You can always bring in a custom background. For example, when I did that wonder sorting game, I did have like a little wonder themed background. So you can upload your own image as the background. I'm just going to click the Firefly for this one, hit finish, and that's it. That is how easy it is to build a game. So once that's done loading, from here, I can rename it. So this was my want versus need game. And then if you are a primary teacher or you're working with diverse learners and you wanted to add audio instructions, right here after I've created my game in the top right corner, there's a little icon of a person talking. If I click on that, I can record myself giving instructions just like so. Hit add, and then that is ready to go for me. I'm going to show you how to build one more thing here. I'm going to give everyone a second if you need a moment to catch up because I know I'm moving pretty quickly. So I'm going to give everyone, let's say, a minute. You need a moment to keep exploring. And then I'm going to show you how to build one more thing. And I'll kind of give you one of my little teacher hacks. And as I say that, I'm going to switch my, I'm going to stop presenting for a moment because I'm actually going to share my whole screen with you because I'm going to do some tab switching here to show you some cool things. All right. Now you should see my entire Google Chrome. All right. Come on back to me here. And I'm going to show you how to build one more thing. So now that I'm here, things you'll kind of notice that I've created this game. It opened a file for me. So it kind of looks like a Google Slides where now I can kind of build into this lesson. I have this plus button here. That's the same as that new button on my home screen. But what I'm actually going to do is show you a little teacher hack. I'm going to click on my three dots and click on new blank page because lots of us really loved that the Instagram and the phone template. So I'm going to show you a really quick way that you can do that. So I'm just on a blank page. Kathy, come on over to Google Meet and we can and observe. And this is being recorded, so you'll be able to see what we're doing here. So right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a little hack. So stay with me in Google Meet. I'm on a blank page, and I'm going to show you how I made that Instagram or phone template. I do personally use a lot of Canva, but you don't have to use Canva if you don't want to. I'm just going to stay right here in Lumio, but I'm going to use Google Images. So I'm going to open up a Google tab, and I'm going to type in Instagram template. I'm going to go to Images, and here's my little hack for you guys. Pay attention. So I'm in Images. I'm going to click on Tools. Then I'm going to click Color. And then I'm going to hit Transparent. So it's not, essentially what that does is it gets rid of any of those backgrounds for me. So maybe I'll grab this one here. I'm going to click on it. You see it kind of looks checkered. It's telling me that it has a transparent background. Right click, copy image, come back over to my Lumio screen, and I'm going to paste it. Now, anytime you're creating anything, it's really, really important. Anything your students shouldn't touch, we always want to lock. So I'm going to hit that little arrow next to it and lock it in place. I might type up my instructions. So just for time's sake, I'm going to say type up my directions here. Again, I might make that look all nice and pretty for my students. I don't want them to edit that, so I'm going to lock it in place. If I needed to give any support, audio support to my students, I can record myself using that same instructional audio right here. So this is me explaining the directions for this activity here. And the very last thing that you need to do is convert this into an activity. Very, very simple. At the top right of your screen, you have a magic wand. If you click on that magic wand, you'll have 3 different activity types. An individual handout, which gives every student their own copies. So when you guys were logged in as students, when you had your own phone template, you each had your own. Group workspace auto-generates small groups for your students. It does it right in front of them, which is really cool. It gives them their own group workspace. And whole class whiteboard is kind of like Jamboard, if you guys ever used it, where all of us can collaborate on a page together, similar to when I asked you where you were with your learning on that journey and we all were able to move that car. So maybe I'd want this to be an individual handout. Again, I can rename it and we're all set to go. I'm going to give everyone 2 minutes. I know it's not a lot of time. I know it's not a lot, but 2 minutes. Go ahead and explore, and then I'm going to show you some resources because I know that our time is really, really short. So I want to give you 2 more minutes, but no worries. I'm going to give you lots of resources to keep learning. So go ahead and take 2 minutes, and then we're going to do some resources. And yes, we will stick around after for questions as well. And I'm going to give you guys some email addresses of people on my team that you can reach out to with any direct questions. We are always here for you. All right, let's take 1 more minute just to play around. All right. If I can have everyone go ahead and come back to me in the Google Meet. I'm actually not going to have you come back to your Lumio screen for the rest of our 5 minutes together. So please come back to Google Meets and then just stay here with me. We're going to close out. I'm going to show you some exciting things. So please do stay right here with me, and we'll drop some links for you in the chat. So not right now. Please don't do this right now. Just follow along. I'm going to show you something really exciting. When you do have time to explore, at the top of the Lumio screen, there is a button that says Lumio Library. Again, we're just following along with me here because I don't want you to get lost in the sauce. But if we click on Lumio Library, this is kind of like Teachers Pay Teachers, but it's totally free. It is all hundreds and hundreds of pre-made lessons for you to use. So in that new screen, when you're creating, those are all templates. Here's all pre-made content for you. If you did, for example, by the way, attend that Science of Reading webinar and you liked some of those vocabulary templates, they're right here. Sight words and phonics, we put them right here for you guys. But there's lots of different science and art and music, math, lots of cool different things you can use. There's Reading with Epic here. When you do find a resource that you like, you can click on it. And you have the ability to save it to your own library, and it does become your own copy, so you're able to edit it and play around with it, which is really great. You can change up the text, the backgrounds, anything like that. Staying with me here, I'm just going to come right back to our presentation to give you guys some different resources. You do not need to log back into my lesson as a student. Don't worry. You just need to be watching me in Google Meets. All right, so a few more minutes to go. I'm going to actually start at the right side of my screen here. We do have different ways for you to keep learning with Lumio, no matter what kind of learner you are. So I'm going to start at the right. We do have an academy. So if you're a tactile learner and you need something that's a little bit more self-paced and self-guided, our academy, and we're going to drop all these links in the chat for you here, has a course called Getting Started with Lumio. Again, the class that you'd want to take is called Getting Started with Lumio, and that's self-paced and self-guided. It takes a little under an hour, I would say. It gives you a simulated Lumio screen for you to really practice using those different features in Lumio. We also have webinars, just like what we're doing here today. We've got 4 to 5 webinars a month on all different topics. You can always register for them. If the time of a webinar doesn't work for you, always register anyways, because we'll just email you the recording of it when it's done. At the bottom of our webinar screen, you can, oh, perfect. Thanks, Noelle. We also have all of our previously recorded webinars as well. We have our Lumio channel, a YouTube channel that has a variety of 2 to 3 minute YouTube clips like, hey, how do I connect my students? How do I build a game? How do I export data? All of those are on our YouTube in addition to all of our previously recorded webinars. So what I'm actually going to do is copy and paste this exact link for you here in the chat. So all those resources are there for you. And Noelle said that Getting Started with Lumio Level 1 course is right in your ELM ready to go for you. And you do get 7 in-service points for that. So that's awesome. All right. The next thing I'm going to tell you is we do also have a really great Facebook group. I'm going to drop that in the link in the chat as well. And here we come to announce all of our upcoming webinars. We have a really exciting webinar next week. I'll drop that registration link for you in the chat as well. I'll be doing that one. We announce all of our new features. We announce all of our upcoming webinars and just teachers sharing their resources on our Facebook group. We have monthly challenges that you can participate in, just figuring out how to use different Lumio features. So a really good place to go to connect with educators and our team directly. We also have our YouTube channel, like I mentioned. And then last but not least, we also have an ambassador community where you can really come again to connect with other teachers. If you feel like you love Lumio and you're looking to grow with Lumio, this is a good place to come to earn badges and connect with us at conferences. So I'll drop that link for you in the chat as well. All right, I'm going to, from here, if you have any questions, I'm going to pass it over to Noelle, but we will stay on to answer any questions, but I know Noelle has some closing remarks. But like I said, this link I did drop for you in the chat with all of these different resources for you. Make sure you join that Facebook group if you are a social media user. And what I'm also going to do, the last thing is I'm dropping 2 emails in the chat for you. And those are the 2 people that you would reach out to if you have any questions after our time here together today. Michael Green and Kelly Campbell are the ones that work with you guys in Florida. I'm just helping out here today. I'm really lucky because this is my 2nd time working with you guys, and I love working with Palm Beach. But if you have any questions moving forward, Michael Green and Kelly Campbell are your go-to folks. Their emails are in the chat. And then what I'll also do, if you do want to connect with me further, I'll drop my Instagram for you where I just drop different Lumio tips and tricks. With that, I'm passing it over to Noelle.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Again, we are delighted to have had the opportunity to have you train with us again. And if you come back with us in April, we have another Lumio session, and Michael Green and Kelly will be doing that training for us. So come join us in April. April 10th is our next session. It's Level Up session. I do have a few more things here before you log off, so don't leave us just yet. I'm posting in the chat a reminder of the form to get your $25 stipend for being here for the full hour today. If you didn't fill that out already, that is there in the chat. A couple reminders. There are in-service points available for this session. If you complete the implementation that's in your ELM course, you can earn 2 in-service points. It's a pretty quick and simple activity to complete. You get the form under the implementation section, you complete the document, and then you upload it into the implementation section. Do not email those forms. They are due by 11:59 p.m. on the deadline. I believe it's May 23rd. Don't quote me on that. And then always check out our e-learning page. We have tons of resources on our EdTech training site, along with our e-learning document that says all the trainings that we have going on. So I just dropped the link in there for you. I also want to share with you the rest of our training that we have going on for the spring. So I made this into a little, just a 1-pager graphic in case you want to save that one. I just posted it in the chat. Google those keywords, not Google. Search those keywords in ELM to help you quickly find those trainings. They all are happening in March and April, all at 4:30, so you can get that $25 stipend. And then if you ever are interested in all of the other great things that we have going on in EdTech, we welcome you to join our mailing list. So we do send out email blasts to remind everybody and let you all know that we have training coming on, our tech conference coming on, so which we just had. But the mailing list is a great way for you to get notified when we have paid trainings or just any trainings in general. We're super happy that you joined us today. I hope you all had some great takeaways from our session that you're able to turn around and put into action in your classroom. I think what I'm going to do, because Michelle shared a ton of links, and I did promise Kathy that I was going to share the link to the template for the video she shared. So I'm going to try to drop both at the same time. So Michelle shared the YouTube for the Science of Reading webinar that took place back in early February. I posted the YouTube video link again. Hopefully they work correctly. but also the template. It was a great webinar, but the template link is there too. And I think because it's been a lot of links in the chat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Kathy, who's in our department, send out an email through ELM with all of these links so that you have those resources. She'll be able to get those to you. It'll just be a little better if they're all in one place all together. So again, thank you all for being here. If you have any questions, we'll stick around for a few minutes. Michelle and I can help you